What's going on,
My
guys?
God.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red and Gold Standard Podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez. Tonight, I am joined by my guy, Anthony Perry. We're going to get into this very, very ugly loss soon. If you're watching on Twitter, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join from there so you can share your thoughts. If you're commenting on Twitter, we're not ignoring you. We just cannot see you. With that all said, Perry, the Niners lose to the Broncos 11-10. While only giving up 9 points on defense. I'm at a loss for words. So take it away, please.
Well, I'm with you, bro. I don't even know where to start with these guys either. I almost want to start on a positive note just because the vibe for this pod is going to be pretty ugly once we talk about the offense and the loss. But no, we got to jump right into the nitty and gritty, dude. The offense was terrible. I thought there was very much a lack of creativity today. It felt like the plays that were there, which were only a few. Of course, Jimmy Garoppolo can't hit. What do you expect? Other than that, it was just dialing up run plays for Deebo Samuel wasn't working. Dialing up screen plays for Deebo and then Jawan Jennings absolutely wasn't working. Jimmy had some good connections with Ayuk today. I thought that was great to see. But overall, it was abysmal, Zach. Chat, what's going on, everyone? It was absolutely abysmal. And I'm with you, dude. We were talking about it before the show even started, but there's just so much on our minds right now to even just not knowing where to begin in this game. And it's one of those, because I've told all of our guys that I've always kind of been on the side of Kyle Shanahan and defended him throughout his process on the team as the head coach. And in the presser, we finally saw he held himself accountable just a little. But overall, it's just, there's no spark and there's no energy. And it's like the moment Jimmy G fucks up on offense, it absolutely tanks. And you can't blame anyone but Jimmy G and Kyle Shanahan. That's the bottom line. And the moment Trent Williams gets hurt, offensive line tanks. The moment that Jimmy G throws a pick, the defense is just already worn out to bits, and they still hold them to 9 points. 9. I thought that was the funniest joke that we were talking about, was the fact that the Niners outscored the Broncos offense and still lost. Like, that's got to be a first. I know there's only been one other 11-10 game in NFL history, but that's got to be the first. Otherwise, man, it was absolutely abysmal through and through. You don't know where to start. So I guess just on my note personally, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the bottom line. And we know what the mistakes are. We know what the issues are. And it just feels like Kyle Shanahan's had so much time to coach around his deficiencies. Even Shanahan should know how to work around Garoppolo and to put him in the best position possible. And Shanahan still hasn't been able to do that. So I don't want to just blame Jimmy Garoppolo because, yeah, Garoppolo stunk and we knew what to expect. But it felt like Shanahan was not doing his best in being able to really adjust with the offense, adjust with how bad Jimmy Garoppolo is, and just be able to create for Garoppolo. Because I thought the offensive line wasn't bad today. Up until Trent got hurt, the line was pretty good. And it just felt like the plays weren't there. The design was not there. The creativity was gone entirely. And it's just the accountability levels between Garoppolo and Shanahan going hand in hand just wasn't there between either of them. And it was abysmal. It was absolutely abysmal.
Yeah. So some of the chat saying what's going on with Trent. He's apparently suffered a sprained ankle, and Azeez Al-Shaair likely sprained his MCL. Both will likely be out for 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure what the prognosis is for a sprained MCL, but they're both going to miss some time, just put it simply. And that's a huge loss, especially Trent Williams. We saw how much the offense kind of sputtered even more after Trent Williams went out. Jalen Moore wasn't doing that well. And then they replaced him with, I believe, Colton McKivitz, who also didn't do that well. This was really tough, man. And I see a lot of people talking about the running game in the chat. I agree. Jeff Wilson wasn't really doing much. He wasn't doing much. Jordan Mason did come out and look good and then didn't get another touch. So I don't know what this is about Kyle Shanahan with trust or whatever the case is where that player hasn't earned the reps yet. Kyle, let me just say this straight up. If you are getting fucked on offense, you do not have the cushion, the right to be like, I don't trust this guy yet. If he's making plays, you have to let him make the plays because nobody else is. And that includes your quarterback. Again, if Jimmy does not take that safety, the 49ers win this game 10-9. Yet He takes a safety. Granted, the Broncos may play it differently. Maybe they don't kick the field goal at the end, the last field goal they kicked. But I don't know, man. I'm at like a loss of words, honestly. This game was really, really. Anthony? Was this the worst loss for the 49ers have suffered under Kyle Shanahan?
Oh yeah, easily. And the thing is that it's been the story all season so far, and it's only been 3 games, so small, like microscope to look at. But it was Seattle where they win 27-7, and you still feel like they should have won by more. We saw the entire second half was horrible for the Niners against Seattle. The Bears game, week 1, okay, give them a little break. It was raining like crazy, but the team was still in great positions to succeed, and they couldn't. And then the Niners, and then tonight, of course, where everyone is saying the Niners should have been winning by 20, 30, at maximum 30. And it wasn't there. The juice wasn't there. And I got to say, I think this was the worst loss, at least in the regular season, obviously. Like you look at last season with the Titans game, that was kind of ugly. But Garoppolo in the rain, we know what to expect. I thought the Falcons game in 2019 was pretty bad too, now that I think about that as well. And then the Seahawks game that year as well when they lost at Levi's. But I think in terms of setting the tone for the season and the way the Niners need to go about the rest of the season, because now is the time to be winning. I watched the Rams and Cardinals today. We were talking about it. The Rams did not look that good. And you need to take advantage of every opportunity you have possible to take a lead in the division or at the least make it competitive. And the Niners just haven't been able to do that. And that's because Shanahan just it all starts from the top at the end of the day. You could be like me at first and defend Shanahan, and I've lightened up a lot. But it starts from the top, and it's with Shanahan. You can blame Garoppolo all we want, and we will because he was terrible. But like I said, going back, it all starts with accountability, and Shanahan just doesn't hold himself to that own standard. So yeah, I think this was the worst loss of his tenure by far in the regular season. So you can afford to lose these games. Like we can set that now. You can afford to lose these games very early in the season. It's not week 14 or 15 when the Niners are a game back and they need to win. It's okay. But in terms of just overall morale, mentality, attitude that you're setting for the team, if I'm the Rams watching this game, I'm going, oh, next week should be easy to win because of Garoppolo. Ownage is ownage for Shanahan against the Rams, but that doesn't matter with the way Garoppolo played and with the way Shanahan's been dialing up things on offense. So there's a lot of things to break down when it comes to losing a week 3 game on the road. But nah, this was the worst loss by far. Absolutely by far.
It's hard to disagree with you. It reminds me of a few games, and I said this in the chat before we went on. The Green Bay game last year in the playoffs where they were somehow able to squeak out with a win because of a blocked field goal that they returned for a touchdown. It also reminds me of that Tennessee game and the Seattle game last year at home, where if I remember correctly, the defense started off with like 5 or 6 straight 3-and-outs, and the 49ers were able to only get like 7 or 3 points out of it. And sure enough, Seattle comes back. This is what happens when you leave quarterbacks like Russell Wilson in the game. We all said it, and there are a few people that are commenting here earlier as well. They missed at least 2 to 3 wide open Deebo Samuel touchdowns. At least 2. At the very least 2. There was that wheel route that Deebo Samuel was just completely waving his hands on. Jimmy Garoppolo looks at him and then throws it to a covered Ayuk. And then the second one where he's kind of coming across the middle of the field and he throws it 2 yards behind him. If he leads Deebo Samuel on that pass, he might still be running. This was just so hard to see because the plays were there. I'm not going to put it as much on Kyle Shanahan as I am on Jimmy, but at the same time, Kyle Shanahan should know what Jimmy can and can't do. Maybe he's still surprising him with his incompetence. I really don't know. But this game was ugly, man.
That's only where I want to push back a tiny bit against Kyle is because the first half, the offensive plays were there. We saw it. And then we saw what happens when Jimmy throws the ball 10 yards down the field. It's fucked up. And then I'm saying I hold Shanahan a little more accountable is because the second half is just everything lacked entirely. And then, of course, you can't blame Shanahan for the fumbled snap. That was really bad. And then the pick on the robber play that Jimmy Garoppolo throws once a week for his whole career, all season, and then the safety. So there's points where I'll kind of digress a little and say, yeah, Shanahan's kind of that's out of his hands. But overall, it's just at the end of the day, it starts from the top. I keep saying that it starts from the top. Someone's got to be accountable. But it was ugly, Zach. It was really freaking ugly.
Yeah. It was.
Oh my
Let me ask
God.
you this question here from Eric. Where do we go from here, gents? What are the next steps we need to take to be the championship team we believe we are? What do you think, Perry? How did the 49ers right the ship after starting off 1-2 with the very, very fucking ugly loss on Sunday Night Football, prime time?
Limit turnovers and score 20 points. That's it. I think if the Niners aren't playing the Chiefs, okay. If the Niners aren't playing the Chiefs, the Bills, the Dolphins, any truly, truly high octane offense, the Niners need 20. That's it. That was the formula in 2019. That was the formula last season as well. Just score 20 points. That's it. Limit the turnovers. If Jimmy throws a pick or fumbles once, okay, we know the defense can hold on that. But when you're doing what the Niners did, the Jeff Wilson fumbled the end of the game, of course. Then Jimmy throws the pick, then Jimmy fumbles, and I think a safety is technically a turnover on downs too. So you got to limit all those turnovers. That's just Eric. I think it's just 20 points. They got to get 20 points. That's it. And right now, even if I take away my emotions, settle in and relax, I'm not confident the Niners can score 20 points. Honestly, Denver's got a good defense this year. That was kind of the story with them, is Denver does have a good defense. So I got to give them props there. They held their own when they had to. I got to give it to that. I can't say Denver's a bad defense because they made plays when the Niners couldn't, and then the Niners couldn't capitalize when Denver's defense wasn't there, and that was very few to none. So overall, props to Denver's defense. I thought they did play very well, but 20 points. 20 points is all they need.
It's a good point. Also, I see Ty Anderson say, my brother who's a Cowboys fan texted me angry at the no pass interference on that interception and the offsides on the sack at the end there. Really bad officiating. Looking back at it, it was the Broncos were completely offsides, and Kyle Shanahan even said in his press conference, I didn't have the right angle. I wasn't right along the line of scrimmage. Anyone could see it. With the play before Jeff Wilson's fumble, Jimmy Garoppolo, when he did get sacked for like a 12-yard loss or whatever it was, the Broncos were totally offsides and it wasn't called. But even with that said, the 49ers shouldn't have been in a position to where a missed call at the end of the game basically decides their fate. They were up and had so many fucking chances to put this game away. And instead they come out with 10 points. Also, real quick, I see Ty Anderson saying we might need a Matt rant for this one. Matt is working. I think he might have just gotten out, but I'm going to do you my best Matt rant impression. And this is actually the first Zach attack we've ever done.
The Zach attack. I like that.
The Zach attack. If Kyle Shanahan is a play calling offensive genius, one of the brightest minds of our era, you cannot come out of a primetime game with the quarterback you've just been coaching with for 4 years or whatever the amount of years he's been with and come out with 10 points. That was atrocious. That was unacceptable. You have DeMeco Ryans coaching your defense. Guys like Fred Warner, Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga playing their fucking minds out. And you can only give them 10 points on offense. It is not only laughable. It's not only a joke. It's simply unacceptable. Fans like me, I know I may be younger. I may have missed the championship eras. I'm only 28. But that does not mean that we do not expect excellence. And this has been very, very far from that. Last week against Seahawks, 27-7. Sure, you beat up on an ugly team. This week you had the chance to come out on primetime and prove yourself against what many think is an actual competitor, against a quarterback who I believe, if I remember correctly, was 16-4 or 17-4 prior to tonight going against you. Yet you could not do it. A team that themselves were in turmoil, yet the 49ers come in here, lay an egg against everyone on national TV, and you expect me to still defend you as an offensive genius. I can't do it. I just can't do it. You have players like Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. Where were they? You cannot scheme me 3 points. You cannot scheme me 1 third down conversion. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Hold on.
10 on third down. They were
1
for 10 on third down.
I got to play it because it's the first time we're going to play this. That's the first Zach attack. Thank you very
really
much,
cool.
Ty.
That was actually really cool.
All right, Perry. What were the good things from this game? You started off with a little bit of them, but the defense has to be the brightest spot, right?
Yeah, let's transition to the defense, man. Fuck the offense. Fuck the offense. Man, Russell Wilson's looked really bad. But of course, when Russell breaks the pocket, that's when plays are made. But I thought for 99% of the game when it mattered, actually, no, fuck that. 100% of the game, the defense did their jobs. They were hungry. They were ferocious. Even after Azeez Al-Shire went down, Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles comes in, gets a huge TFL, flips Melvin Gordon over on his ass, picked him up and slammed him. I was like, whoa, like these linebackers are crazy. Charvarius Ward was very good. Emmanuel Mosley, very good. Talanoa Hufanga, what else is there to say? He is absolutely one of the best safeties in the league right now. He is absolutely playing out of his mind. He's just holding it down until Jimmy Ward comes back. And I mean, when Jimmy Ward comes back, Hufanga is a full-time starter. He does not come off the field. I think Tashawn Gibson will be the one that subs out for Jimmy Ward coming in. But, Tashawn Gibson's been very good as well. I mean, Denver only had one deep play that I can think of, or two. And that was the sudden crosser and then the sudden deep ball. Otherwise, though, that was it. The defense absolutely held their own. We saw a lot of big sacks today, including from Nick Bosa, which I thought that might have been tripping there. It was kind of close, but Bosa actually got a flag for him nonetheless. But no, Nick Bosa got a sack. I'm looking at it right now. Kevin Givens got a big sack. Kerry Hyder and Drake Jackson got, I think, his first full sack, maybe a second. But overall, the defense was phenomenal. DeMeco Ryans is considering or proving once again why he will be a head coach next season, whoever gets fired. And it's unfortunate, man. I mean, you see what Mike McDaniel is doing in Miami right now, absolutely coaching up a storm. They're 3-0. You see what's going on with the Packers right now. They're 2-1. Another Shanahan head coaching tree guy. And you're going to see what happens with DeMeco Ryans soon enough. He's going to be a great head coach. Robert Saleh, but it's the defense was phenomenal. It's hard to pick out any one person on defense who was great because everyone was great. There was, I think, maybe one busted coverage on the sudden crosser. Otherwise, and that might be being pretty picky, but overall, I can't think of any other busted coverages. The Niners absolutely played the most cleanest form of defense I could have seen them play since 2019. I by far think this defense is better than 2019. I think it's already rivaling the Patrick Willis and Bowman defenses when Vic Fangio was in town. So it's one thing to lose a game, but it's another thing to lose a historically great defensive game, I thought, where the Niners just played lights out the entire game, and then the offense just shits the bed. But we can't go there, man. The defense was great. It was absolutely a clinical coaching clinic from DeMeco Ryans. Everyone executed and did what they were supposed to do. And they just solidified what we know is the biggest strength on this team is the defense. And if the defense was even league average, we would have lost this game by 30 easily. And the defense they keep us in games. They keep us hungry and ferocious and wanting more from the offense when the defense is like, okay, we got you the ball back. Okay, we got you the ball back once more. And then it's like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And then you see Mitch Wishnowsky come out again. And then he comes out again. And again. And he comes out 7 times tonight. Zach, Mitch Wishnowsky punted total yards, 362 yards of punts tonight for Mitch Wishnowsky. 362 yards of punts off 7. He averaged 51 punts 3 times inside the 20. His longest was 74 yards. I have never, I guess I don't pay attention to punting, but I've never seen a punter punt for over 350 yards. That is just unreal. So special teams and defense, they did what they had to do. I thought Niners special teams was awesome as well tonight, except for the Ray fumble that was really close. But no, 2/3 of the team did what they were supposed to do. And we're talking about it again.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I just want to say real quick, I tweeted this out earlier and I picked up a lot of traction. I don't want to hear another word about Trey Lance and his struggles, his growth, his deficiencies after what we just saw from Jimmy Garoppolo. The same people who were claiming for the past 3-4 weeks going into the offseason that the 49ers will be making a huge mistake by getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, Trey Lance isn't ready. This is a Super Bowl ready roster. You're wasting a year with Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. What did we just see? What did we just see? Like, you cannot explain to me what we just saw and tell me that that was the better choice If Mike Silver's article is correct, and I honestly have no reason to believe it isn't, that there are players in this locker room that actually believe that they had a better chance to win with Jimmy Garoppolo than Trey Lance, they need to be drug tested, because what we saw tonight was as poor of a performance from a starting quarterback in the NFL as I've ever seen. And I almost don't want to talk about the quarterbacks because it pisses me off so much, but we cannot ignore the fact that that's the sole reason why the 49ers lost tonight. Like, am I wrong? Am I emotional? You're muted.
Jimmy Garoppolo right now is a backup quarterback in this league. He is not a starting quarterback. That might be a little bold. I'm sorry. But if he's going to go and play like that, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 1 lost fumble, or a safety. Someone in the chat said that was the trifecta. 1 pick, 1 fumble, 1 safety. Hey, props to him for doing something I haven't seen since Dan Orlovsky. But he's not a starting quarterback right now. He's not. There's a reason why Trey Lance was given the reins. There's a reason why Trey Lance was named the starter. And Trey didn't even look bad in a game and a half or a game and a quarter. He didn't. And this is the result. It is an offense that just can't move the ball. It's an offense that relies too much on big plays. That's the problem with the team, is they rely way too much on big plays. The Niners averaged 5 yards per play tonight. That's terrible. Jimmy averaged 7 yards per throw, an 81 QB rating. That's terrible. Absolutely atrocious. When you have to rely on big plays, at least, I'm waving my hair, at least 20 plus yards downfield, you can't win games. And it's nice if he can hit the big throw. That's a great way to keep defenses honest. But once the defense really adjusted to see that Garoppolo just couldn't throw the ball at all, it was a lost cause. It was absolutely a lost cause.
I need to read this quote to you because this comment couldn't have come at a better time. Jimmy G says he needs to build chemistry again with the starters. Quote, "It was my first week with these guys, and I just got to get in a rhythm with them, especially like third down. We were terrible today. I want to strangle this man. I want to strangle this man for telling me that he needs to build chemistry with guys that he's been playing with for the past 2 to 3 years. Who is new on that offense?
Ray.
Ray, who got how many looks today?
1.
You've played with Debo.
Target.
You've played with George. You've played with Ayuk. You've played with Jeff Wilson. Who do you need to be chemistry with? I don't understand. You spend one offseason away from the team in one game, yet you suddenly restart on chemistry? Wasn't that the reason why last week he was able to come in and not miss a beat? How can it be both ways?
I can't believe he just said that. I can't believe he said that. There's a great culture in the Niners locker room, as far as we know, but there's absolutely zero accountability on this team. There's none. There's no accountability, at least on the offensive side. You see the defense all the time. Bosa, Warner, Jimmy Ward, Jaquaski Tart when he was here. Everyone on the defensive side holds themselves accountable. Very, very much so. I'm sure someone on the defensive side of the ball today is going to say, yeah, we let Russ scramble away and get that big completion and something. We got to be better. Are you kidding me? You do not deserve to say you have to be better when you guys absolutely played your asses off. I cannot believe Jimmy even said that. If I was him, I wouldn't even gone to the podium.
not to interrupt you, but
no,
remember what happened after the 49ers lost to Chicago week 1? What did Trey Lance go up on the podium and say?
He listed every single play that he could have been better on.
Yeah. And he literally said, I missed Brandon
play.
Ayuk on this play. I missed Debo on this play. I didn't miss it. I didn't see the safety on this play. What do we get from Jimmy Garoppolo? Oh, I don't have chemistry with these guys.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It's laughable at best. It really is.
There's no accountability. There's no one that holds himself accountable or responsible for what's going on. Shannon doesn't do it. Garoppolo doesn't do it. Kittle sure as fuck doesn't do it. No one does. No one. And that's the biggest issue with this team right now. It's not the level of play. They play hard. Don't get me wrong. The offense was terrible, but they play hard. They are going out there trying to win their routes and win their blocking assignments. And they did. Jimmy didn't hit. So there's no issue on that part. They play like a playoff team. But when you lack accountability, when you lack areas where you know you need to improve in, and you can't openly admit that, Chemistry isn't an accountability thing. Missing that being your first week with the starters and saying that's not accountability. That's shifting the blame. You're blaming it on not being able to be with them because you had shoulder surgery. And then that's basically saying, off script, it's basically saying, well, you know, the Niners named Trey Lance the starter. So, I mean, I couldn't get my reps in with them. What can I do? That's shifting the blame. It doesn't surprise me. And that is going to be the absolute downfall of this team this season if no one can hold themselves accountable. It starts with Shanahan, starts with Garoppolo. And they're not going to do that. I'm sorry. We can play as well as we can all week for 14 more games. I will not believe in this team. I love my Niners. We love our Niners. I will ride with them until I'm not even alive anymore. But for as long as I'm watching people not be responsible and accountable, I can't buy into it. I cannot buy into it because nothing will change. Nothing will change on offense. Nothing will change with this team. And it's the same story over and over and over again. It's been the same story since Jimmy Garoppolo came in 2017 when he played for 5 games. When Robert Saleh got his feet wet with the defense, that defensive unit wasn't bad. It was bad quarterback play. Still no accountability. 2018, same thing. Great defense. Garoppolo gets hurt, no accountability. 2019, when everything's clicking, okay. First 8 weeks, though, Jimmy was ass. No accountability. And I can go on and on about this. I'm sorry, but that
no, you're good.
49 said it in the chat right there. Jimmy Presser was pathetic. He's a me guy. No, I think you meant that the other way around. No, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, 49, you're right. Yeah, he is a we guy.
For sharing blame, it's we.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
not me.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. He shares blame, shifts the blame. He can't hold himself down.
No. So for my whole take out of this game is we were told again that this team is ready to win now, therefore they cannot wait and grant Trey Lance the time to develop as a passer because they cannot afford to lose these games because the winning period is now. Well, that clearly isn't the case. Jimmy Garoppolo, they went to the championship game with, I'm not going to say he took them there like a lot of people do because I don't believe that's the case. Well, he comes out tonight fully healthy. Last year, he had a couple of injuries he was playing through, fully healthy. All of his players are back. First game with George Kittle back, and they get 10 points. They get 10 points. And I see the recovery 716 saying Shanahan did take accountability in the postgame. This is the first time I've ever seen Shanahan take accountability for anything. And he did say, yes, I shouldn't have put Jimmy Garoppolo in that position when he had to take the safety, which I'm sorry, Kyle. I don't think that's on you. I actually don't think the one time you actually take accountability, I don't think that's on you. I think you should expect a little more out of your 5th-year starting quarterback to know where the fucking line is on the end zone and not pull a Dan Orlovsky and step out of it. And again, we were talking about this before. Is it not the most wild thing that the better outcome is to take the safety than for the pass he threw to be completed and be returned for a pick 6? Better to give up 2 than 7, I guess. But it's just a really, really ugly performance from Jimmy Garoppolo. There are no excuses for it other than he's simply not a good quarterback. Kyle Shanahan did so much to drag this dude, dress him up, put makeup on the pig, make him look good. I think the book is out, and I think that every other team understands how to get to Jimmy, and maybe Kyle Shanahan doesn't know how to counteract what these defenses are doing and make Jimmy successful again. But I want to touch on this real quick before I show it back to you, Anthony. Tyrants, this is 28 points given up to 3 games. I don't know if this is including the safety. I don't know if this is including the blocked field goal that was returned for a touchdown or whatever the case was against Seattle. But if this is true, the 49ers defense is giving up 9 points, 9.3 technically. Let's round it down to 9. 9 points per game, and the 49ers are 1-2. Make it make sense.
That's crazy. It was like the Colts a couple years ago. Actually, in 2019, Colts had great defense too. Offense was terrible. Just running off the top of my head, Seattle without the touchdown would have been 27-0. This game today would have been 9, so 9 points, and then the Bears scored 19. So yeah, 28 points is right. That's 9 points. That's 9 points a game. That's crazy. Actually, yeah, that was wow. I can rant about accountability, but I'm not. So I got to move on to that argument as well. But it's just the offense was bad. It's terrible, and there's only one person responsible for that, and it's the quarterback. And at this point, you're not going to hear anything come up about Brock Purdy at all. We can personally shut that down now. Purdy's name will not be brought up so long as Garoppolo is healthy. But Give it a couple more weeks. If Garoppolo plays like the way he did today, and then yeah, that question's going to come up entirely. And you said it earlier, Denver isn't even a playoff team as far as we know. They are a competitor, though. I agree with you. They are definitely a competitor. But if the Niners can't keep up with a middle of the pack team, or maybe borderline above the pack team, Niners are no more than a playoff team as well. Oh, wait, I got to read this right here.
Go ahead. Please read it for me. This is my guy, Jamal.
If Trey Lance went 0 for 9 on third down, caused the safety, missed multiple open pass catchers, and left multiple scores on the field like this, Jimmy Stans would never let us hear the end of it. I just want to know if they'll keep the same energy with Jenny. Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong. It's just, you are a 9-year veteran in the league. You played behind the greatest quarterback of all time. You are currently with a very fantastic offensive play caller that's being called into question now. And this is the line you give us. 0 for 9 on third down. And I think the only the third down conversion, I think, was a Jeff Wilson run, if I'm not mistaken. But it was just that, that's the thing that took me away from this game too, is that Denver played the run pretty well, but I didn't think they were really stacking the box much. The Niners had holes to run the ball. Debo was not good, but Jeff Wilson was for the most part. But there were open throws for Garoppolo. There were absolutely open throws for him to hit. They were there. Receivers were getting open multiple times. The only nice throw that Garoppolo had today was that back shoulder to the juice, which took an amazing catch, by the way. That was a remarkable catch I've never seen from a fullback. But other than that, everything was there on the table. And then that's the part of me that doesn't want to blame Shanahan too much, because everything was there for Garoppolo to execute on, and they couldn't. Or he couldn't. That was horrible.
Our guy Matt says Jimmy is like listening to the same shitty song for 4 years. Trey might be a shitty song too, but at least it's different.
Hey, he's not wrong. I mean, we haven't seen Trey fully play, so we don't know the book, but
exactly. There was a comment here from let me listen to it and decide. Exactly. Hugfat says we miss Mike McDaniel. Anthony, do you remember when Mike LaFleur left to the Packers? The 49ers offense took a while to kind of recover, adjust from him not being there. And a lot of people were saying, was Mike LaFleur a lot more important to this offense than maybe we're thinking initially? Well, now Mike McDaniel goes to Miami, who just fucking beat Buffalo today, which is like a wild thing to even think about. They took care of business. Tua threw 400 and something yards and 6 touchdowns a week ago. Is this offense desperately missing Mike McDaniel? Is that what we're seeing?
As the thing is, I don't know. I don't want to say yes, because the throws and plays were there today for Garoppolo to make. That's the thing, is that they were there today. We may have not have seen as much creativity on the offensive side of the ball, but the execution wasn't there, but the plays were there. That's where I got to say, you know what? Maybe. But at the same time, too, it's like Mike McDaniel was the offensive coordinator. The Niners currently don't have one now. And now it is solely on Kyle Shanahan. And we saw that issue, I think, in 2017 and 2018 when Shanahan came in, was that the offense, it was kind of tough for him to balance this out until Mike McDaniel stepped up, and then LaFleur stepped up as well. So I don't want to say no, but I don't want to say yes either, only because we saw the plays that were there today. And that's what's really frustrating, is that for Kyle Shanahan's entirety being on the team, we know his reputation is that he wants the offense to be working under his mind and his vision. If you do this, it'll work. If you make this throw, it'll work. If you hit this gap, I promise you it's going to be open. That's Kyle Shanahan to a T. Absolutely to a T. I've been listening to Broncos podcasts all week, Niners podcasts all week. They all say the exact same thing. It doesn't matter how Jimmy Garoppolo is. Jimmy Garoppolo just needs to do what Shanahan wants him to do. And that's the problem, is that Garoppolo can't do what Shanahan is asking because he physically cannot do it. I don't even think he can mentally do it now because he runs back in the end zone, apparently. So yes or no, Hung. I think it's a great conversation piece, Zach, and I want to hear your thoughts on it too. But I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Right now, maybe no. But if next week, if the offense is lacking once again and we don't see any types of creativity, then I'm probably going to lean towards yes.
I think they are. I really think they are. I think Mike McDaniel didn't get enough credit. He kind of became like famous on social media for his like wacky quotes and quirky personality towards the end of the year when he was a candidate for the Dolphins head coaching position. And only then were fans like, oh, I think this guy's actually a pretty vital piece to the 49ers offense. Well, he's gone. And the 49ers offense has struggled mightily. Yes, they were able to put up 27 points against Seattle Seahawks at home. Other than that, they put up, what did they put up? 10 points week one in Chicago?
10 points week
10
one.
points week 1.
10, yep.
10 points week 3. So 47 divided by 3, whatever the average is there, like 13. I can't do the math right now, but they're averaging a very, very low amount of points per game. 15 points per game. That's what this 49ers averages. If I remember correctly, they were one of the highest scoring offenses last year. So I think they are missing Mike McDaniel. And I agree with you where your premise was. You think Kyle Shanahan wants to get a little more credit when it comes to the offense and the play calling. I really think that's what it comes down to. And he's got this kind of weird grasp on control. I don't know what it is, but he needs to really, really share the power, the play calling. We've talked about this for years. Should he give up play calling? But then on the other hand, that's the reason why he's the 49ers head coach, because he calls good plays. But we have not seen that. We did not see that tonight. So I'm at a loss for words. What do you expect from this team next week? Another primetime game, if I remember correctly, I believe a Monday Night Football game against the Rams. Are we going to see another embarrassment, Anthony?
Trent Williams is going to be out. I don't care if the Niners lose Debo or Kittle again or Jeff Wilson or Ayuk, because I think Shanahan can coach around that. He was able to do it last year with Kittle being hurt. And he was able to do it in 2019 as well. But now you're talking about the most important piece on offense. I'm sorry. I think Trent Williams is more important than Debo by far. Because without Trent, we saw what happened today. Jalen Moore is terrible. And then Stewart in the chat said McKivitz had come in at left tackle also. If that was him on the final drive, I got to watch it. He was terrible too. So, yeah, it's really scary. Now you have 4 entirely different starters, all brand new basically. McKivitz, Banks, Brendel, and Burford. McGlinchey is back, obviously, but even he was mid today, like usual. Yeah, I'm really trying to be level-headed about it and trying to not let this game's emotions get the best of me, because I think a lot of us are very emotional right now and trying to think complexly and simply. I'm not confident in the team or the offense. If the Niners defense holds the Rams to 16 or 17, wow, that's gonna be awesome. The Niners are gonna score 3, maybe. that's the issue. The Niners are gonna score 3. Where did the Niners field goal come off today? Wasn't it off of a oh god.
It was a short field. It was a short punt. They got the ball at the 41, and they were able to move the ball 9 yards.
So special teams and defense is going to win the Niners. That's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, though, it was like, and that's another thing too, is if the Niners can't force turnovers, which doesn't even feel like it matters, because the Niners seems like, for as long as we've been watching Shanahan come in, they haven't been able to score off turnovers anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But force turnovers, that's the key. I thought Ray was excellent on special teams today as well. I think he averaged about 8 or 9 in return, which, I mean, on punts, that's as much as you can ask for. It's hard to return punts in the NFL. So special teams and defense, man, I'm not confident in the team. I really don't know if they can score at least 10 points next week, which ironically, a lot of people were making that argument that Trey Lance has only scored 10 points on offense twice or whatever it was. Garoppolo goes out there and scores 10 conveniently. So I don't know. Right now, I'm not confident. I think if the Niners can force turnovers and play good special teams, yeah, of course there is a shot, obviously. But it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter if Garoppolo is going to play like the 33rd best quarterback in the league, which he is currently. It doesn't matter if Kyle Shanahan is going to lack creativity in the second half, which we didn't see at all. It doesn't matter if the offense isn't going to click. And now you have no Trent Williams. Matt said in the chat earlier, George Kittle looked very mid today. I'm sorry, you've had 3+ weeks to return from a pulled dick injury, and you're going to play like that? Like, he had a couple good catches, I guess. There was no yak, though, for him. He wasn't separating. He wasn't breaking tackles. There was nothing going on. Debo was getting open. Nothing could hit. Ayuk was open a lot. Garoppolo's not going to hit him. I would be shocked if the Niners score 10 points next week. I would be very shocked. So I think right now it is currently setting up for the Niners to be upset because I'm assuming they're going to be favorites next week. But I don't have confidence. I'm sorry. That's my little rant, but I have
Wait. I'm sorry. You think the Niners are going to be favorites next week?
probably opening.
I don't think there's a chance in hell. I don't think there's a chance in hell the 49ers are favored
They
against
already
the
have the
Rams.
early sport. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to check it too. Let's see. Maybe not. It might be 3 points.
So there are two things I want to talk about. I saw Mike Silver tweet out, which I can't stand Mike Silver, but it's a good fact. The 49ers defense has given up 3 points in the last 7 quarters. 3 points in the last 7 quarters.
Yeah.
And you come out of this game with a loss. Like, it really, really is. It's so unacceptable from an offensive standpoint where your defense gives up 3 points and you still cannot find a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this game kind of reminds me, it's got the same kind of feel of the Cardinals game at home last year where they lost to Colt McCoy and like 40% of the Cardinals backups, which I went to and spent my own hard-earned money to see, which was so frustrating. But it's almost like the 49ers at a very early season fork in the road. Where are they going to come out from this? They basically just got embarrassed in primetime on Sunday Night Football for the whole world to see. Jimmy Garoppolo running out of the end zone was trending on social media as a meme. So let's see what happens from here. Is this going to be a team that's able to come together and regroup and say, you know what? We're not going to be taken as a joke. We want to be taken seriously. This is how we're going to move forward next week, again on primetime against the Rams on Monday Night Football. It remains to be seen, but they could last year when they lost to the Cardinals in an embarrassing fashion, they then came out the next week and beat the hell out of the Rams on Monday Night Football. So we'll see what happens, man.
I do like how that's one thing that everyone's talked about, which I do agree with. The Niners are very good after losing. They are very, very good after losing football games because they make great adjustments. Now, how are we going to see next week? I don't know. That's a big question. Another thing that really didn't get talked about too much too, I thought today, the penalties came back for the Niners. It was very, very sloppy in the penalty marker once more. I think they finished with 7 or 8. It was bad. Once again, the penalties are bad. The Niners had 7 for 40 yards. So 40 yards, okay, give them a break. 7 penalties, though, you can't do that. You absolutely can't do that. But we talked about it real quick. So the Mybookie, guys, check it out. Use promo code Hive. Get that deposit bonus. Use Mybookie. Let me down today, but that's okay. Use Mybookie. It works. The early line from Mybookie, Zach, 2.5 point favorites. The Niners are.
No fucking way.
That's probably super early, but 2.5 point favorites.
Well, I mean, they get spotted 3, right?
Spotted 3 because of the home game. So technically,
they're half a point underdogs.
But yeah,
so
early favorites.
My guy Matt, not to cut you off, Perry, and we'll get back to the line, says, tale as old as time. 49ers defense does enough to hold the lead that the offense gets on scripted plays, but can't hold at the end because the offense does jack shit and the D gets tired. Perry, the 49ers scored a touchdown on their second drive of the game and then got 3 points the entire remainder of the game. From a Kyle Shanahan-led offense, is that just not completely unacceptable?
Hey, when you're the most creative play caller in the game, apparently.
Air quotes.
Air quotes? Because I gave him my break when I said Garoppolo wasn't hitting throws when he needed, but everything else was terrible. Yeah, that was terrible. You know, I had a feeling the Niners were going to lose today when they kicked the field goal. When Robbie Gould kicked the field goal, I was like, wow, I hated that decision. I hated that. And Shanahan said in the presser, he was like, oh, yeah, that was the easy, quick decision. We're going to kick it right away. You got 5 points. Or no, 7. Yeah, 7 points. 7-5. You want to go up 10-5. Your defense has been excellent. You think realistically your defense can hold them to 5 points a whole game? Or let's say that Broncos kick a field goal. 8? A whole game? No, that's very, very unrealistic. That when I saw that, I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. Shanahan's little cojones that's starting to get sucked up because he's not doing it. He's not making the big boy play calls at all. And it happens once more. And that's
Again,
I agree with that
Matt
all.
says, yeah, to defend Kyle, Jimmy missed 2 touchdown throws because he's a one-read wonder and 2 more on bad throws. 100% agree. We talked about this earlier. Deebo Samuel should have had at least 2 touchdowns today. And Jimmy Garoppolo threw it behind him, overthrew him, whatever the case may be, or completely missed him, didn't even throw it to him, even though he was looking his way to start the play. It really is bad. And Kyle Shanahan, again, Matt made a good point defending him. He did draw these plays up. It's not his fault Jimmy can't hit him. And again, that's kind of why a lot of the fans are like fighting with each other right now, saying, why is this the guy you want? I think tonight was the perfect example as to our image, what's the word I'm looking for? Symbol as to why the 49ers gave up everything they gave up to get Trey Lance. Make of Trey Lance what you will with only, 4 starts or whatever the hell he had before going down with the injury. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a quarterback you can win a Super Bowl with. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a quarterback you can become a dynasty team with. Yes, you may get into the playoffs because you have a good enough team around you. But if you're counting on your quarterback, which a lot of these teams do once you get into the wildcard weekend, the divisional round, the championship game, the Super Bowl, a lot of these teams, because you're playing the best of the best, Perry, you count on your quarterback to get the job done. Jimmy Garoppolo has proven time after time he's not that guy. And this is why the 49ers gave up everything they did to replace him. So it really boggles my mind when I still see fans saying, oh no, Jimmy should be the quarterback. Oh, now that Jimmy has a chance, he's going to, get his job back. Trey's not just going to get his job back. The 49ers, if unfortunately, if I think the year will go as it will go, they will be willfully and happily telling Trey, please start next year, Trey. We're so sorry we brought this guy back. That's just how I feel.
So you get the 10 wins, you got to win 9 of the next 14. That sounds tough. I'm sorry. This first half of the schedule was your chance to kind of lay up on these teams. Yeah. Now you got the Rams coming up next week. Then I think the Falcons and then the Panthers the following 2 weeks. That's it. Otherwise, you got the Chiefs coming. You got the Chargers coming. You got Arizona, who just always seems to play the Niners very hard. Divisional games are weird. And then you got Tampa Bay. And then whatever other games I'm missing. It's ugly. It's really ugly. This was the game and the time to win. I gave him a bit of a break, this being the kind of week 3 where you can kind of still assess and see what's going on, which is okay. That's a little cautious optimism I want to get. It is still week 3. It's okay. Technically, Jimmy's not wrong. It is his first full week with the starters, apparently, even though I would have thought he'd have another full week with the starters after, last week's game too. So technically like 2 weeks, but nonetheless, it's horrible. It's really bad. 9 of the next 14 doesn't sound very good to me at all. And like you said, Jimmy G is just out there playing. That's it. Everyone's saying, let Jimmy cook. His shoulder looks great. Oh, he looked excellent in this first half back. Wow. Jimmy G is up in the pressers this coming previously. Yeah, I felt like 2017. It felt great to throw. I'm really excited. To get back out there.
There was a freedom. There was a freedom out there.
There was a freedom. Kyle Juszczyk as Niners football. Well, 10 points is Niners football, apparently. And there's not much more I can say about that, man. It was atrocious football through and through. Frustrating. I don't even want to listen to what sucked is coming into this game because I bet on Niners money line to win. I was like, I'm so pumped to listen to Broncos podcast this coming week because I love hearing the losing team talk about the fans talking about their team losing. But now I'm gonna have to listen to the Niners podcast about us losing. And now I'm gonna hear about the Jimmy Garoppolo defenses from Matt Mayoko and Barrows and Eric Branch and Lombardi of all people, and it's not gonna start. Yeah, Matt, I saw that quote. He says arm was definitely feeling it.
Feeling it as in hurting?
He just said his arm was definitely feeling it. That was in response to how it was feeling. That he didn't elaborate any more about it. I saw the quote.
Crazy how it always kind of hurts and it was always affecting him after a loss, right?
Oh, yeah.
But last week, I was feeling great. Everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
It really is unfortunate, man. It really is unfortunate to see because again, a guy who just takes no accountability in anything. All right, before we wrap things up here, we got to share some thanks to today's sponsor, which of course is MyBookie. Perry, we haven't had a chance to go over this, but let's look at tomorrow night's props for the Cowboys Giants game. Cooper Rush is taking on Daniel Jones, and if I remember correctly, the 2-0 Giants. So this is pretty trippy. Are there any props that you want to take a look at here? Specials, maybe?
I've kind of had the over under on the passing yards. That was kind of like my eye for between Daniel Jones and Cooper Rush. That is one of those games that feels kind of weird for me. I don't know if Cooper Rush got that dog in him. What's that, 206? Oh, man. I thought about slamming the under on Cooper Rush's 206.5 yards. I think the Giants have a sneaky, underrated defense. And if they can keep them off the field, if the Giants can just keep executing the way they've been this season, which they've been surprisingly good, I don't care who they play. Screw who they play. They look good. Cooper Rush under on passing yards. I think that with the banged up offensive line for the Cowboys, I think Zeke and Pollard running the ball should be fairly okay. I don't see any reason for Cooper Rush to be passing over 200 yards to begin with. I think he's just had a nice landing spot, but I'm not confident in the under or the over for Cooper Rush. So 206 under for Cooper Rush is me on those passing yards, man. I don't believe.
Yeah, that's a pretty good bet. I would take that as well. I think I took Jimmy under 233 today, but it was like parlayed with a bunch of other shit like the Niners winning. So I definitely win that. I did win about, I think, $80 for the Brandon Ayuk touchdown, anytime touchdown. Luckily, that was the one touchdown the Niners scored went to Brandon Ayuk. So guys, read the code on the screen. Go to mybookie.ag, sign up with promo code Hive. You know football and you pick the winners all the time. So why not get paid to pick them at MyBookie? Bet single game spreads, money lines, or parlay multiple picks together, including this Cooper Rush over or under passing yards. To increase your payouts, you can have low contest entry fees and over $500,000 to be won. Make it so you don't have to be a pro gambler to just have some fun. Getting started is super easy. All you got to do is visit mybookie.ag and use promo code Hive, as in 49ers Hive, HIVE, on your first deposit to secure a double deposit bonus. You deposit 25, they'll make it 50. You deposit 50, they'll make it 100. You deposit 200, they'll make it 400. You can do the math. That's promo code Hive, HIVE, to get your first deposit matched dollar for dollar all the way up to $1,000. MyBookie is a proven sportsbook that makes it simple to bet and simple to win. So make this your winning season exclusively at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag, promo code Hive. All right. Thank you, MyBookie, for sponsoring tonight's show. Anthony, let's wrap this shit up. What are your final thoughts? Because this game is so frustrating to even talk about, to be honest with you. What are your final thoughts on tonight? How do you view the 49ers moving forward at 1-2?
Defense wins championships, baby. That's all I can say. Defense wins championships. Jimmy G, let's ride. It's going to be a roller coaster. I'm going to be so sick of hearing all of Russell Wilson shit for the whole week. But that's okay. Now, just wrap it up. I mean, I want to end on a good note, man. The defense was so much fun to watch. Talanoa Hufanga is awesome. There's one TFL he just shot out of the corner blitz, and I was like, well, hey, what else is new? That's all he's been doing. He's playing like the best safety in the league right now. And overall, the defense is just fun to watch, man. It's really nice to see Drake Jackson get a sack, too. It's definitely going to be key, kind of him stepping in that D Ford role, more or less, since Ford is officially gone. But Edward Campbell looked great. Jackson looked great. Both look great. The defense is fun, dude. If I have anything positive to take away for the season, it's that I look forward to watching the defense. That might not be a good thing all the time, but when they come out in the field, I'm like, yes, like finally something fun to watch because the offense sucks. So let's watch the defense. Overall, though, I love them. I love that defense. They're the only reason why I'm kind of sticking around watching games, even though I love my Niners. When the Niners offense comes out on the field, I'm like, well, okay, time to go back to the paid programming because that's more exciting than the Niners offense. So props to the defense, man. They played very well. I got to give it where it's due. D'Amico Ryans has those guys coached up like crazy. And just going into next week, if they want a chance to win, play good defense, force turnovers. It's unfortunate, but that's the team's reality. And I don't think anything will change for the season. So, fuck yeah, go defense. Defense look great. I love those guys.
Yeah. The 49ers might have the best defense in the NFL, definitely top 3 statistically. I don't know where they stand after tonight, but they have to be up there. And it really is unfortunate that such a great defensive year to start the season has been wasted by Jimmy Garoppolo in this offense. And I am actually terrified of the thought of losing DeMeco Ryans to a head coaching gig, because he's such a good coach and what he's done with his defense has been phenomenal. We were lucky that he turned down coaching gigs last year because he wanted to kind of hone in on his craft of being defensive coordinator, since he was only one for 1 year. Hopefully he makes that choice again after this year, but I know our time with him is limited and coming up to an end very soon. So once DeMeco Ryans does get a head coaching gig elsewhere, hopefully the 49ers can replace him like they did when Saleh left. This offense needs to put up more than 10 points. 10 points is unacceptable, especially when your defense is averaging 9 points per game allowed. You need to score more than 2 touchdowns at the very least. From a veteran quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, you have all your weapons around you. It's simply unacceptable. And again, 3 games, the 49ers have lost at least one major player in each game. That's not sustainable. Hopefully moving forward, these injuries stop. It's not like they have any control over it, but the universe is really just screwing them over in this really strange way. Maybe it's karma for how they handled the quarterback position. I really don't know, but hopefully they stop, because it really is unfortunate. Troy Williams is out for 4 to 6 weeks. Azeez Al-Shaair is going to be out a few weeks as well. We'll see how the 49ers handle it. Trent Williams is arguably the best player on the entire team, and now they just lost him for a month to 2 months. So we'll see how that shapes up. Anthony, thank you very much for joining. Let the folks know where to find you. I know it's on the screen, but in case they don't follow you already.
Yeah, guys, it's good to be back on the show. Zach, thank you so much for having me. It's been a very long time. You know, you have me whenever you want. But guys, follow me on Twitter at It's Anthony Brett, typed in right there. I can't believe I did that on the first try. Wait, yeah, right there. Type it right down there. It's Anthony Brett. Always push the Niner stuff, other stuff. But Zach, again, thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute blast to be on the show. Unfortunately, we couldn't talk about a win, but at least we were able to address kind of the Niners as demons. And hopefully we can find some way to be optimistic about coming into next week. At least they get an extra day. They get an extra day to kick one more field goal.
An extra day to kind of cry over this loss, this horrible loss. But all right, guys, my handle is right here as well, Zach Hernan. Follow the podcast at RGS Pod. Follow us at 49ers Hive. Hit like, hit subscribe. We appreciate all you guys tuning in after this tough loss. I know it's a late Sunday night, so we thank you very much. The emotions are still high. We wanted to go live tonight, capture it while it's still going on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe. We appreciate all of you. Until next time, go Niners.